Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey here, and today we're going to be doing a technique analysis on Elaine Thompson-Herah, going in depth into her block start and her transition, drive phase, and into the top end speed, and getting more in depth into, as an Olympian, what she does that I think separates herself from many of the athletes that are not able to reach that same level of performance. And so, what you should get out of this is a clear understanding of some of the things that you could probably work on as an athlete to make it so you can improve your speed and your sprinting technique. We're going to go ahead and hop right into the video. So we're starting off from the front view just because I think it's very helpful to be able to see the comparison between her block start first couple steps in comparison to her top speed. And what really stands out to me is that left arm. She's very quick with the left arm there, and she keeps really both hands pretty tight to her body. And that's really why I chose her, because I think she, from a technical perspective, is really, really good at being able to maintain a great position within her arm. And I think it just shows how important it is to have clean shoulder extension when it comes to sprinting, and even the importance of the strength within the lats, just because those two things are going to end up carrying over. So we can see as she's going back, she does a great job of getting her hands kind of straight to her cheeks as she's going back, as she's coming through. So her cheeks with her face, as well as her cheeks down by her hips. And we see that when she's at top speed, as well as during the start. During the start, she ends up getting a little bit lower with that right arm. She still stays pretty close with the hand, but she's definitely longer with that right arm, but does a good job of being able to use that to make it so then she's able to generate more power into the ground. So she's definitely a little bit more powerful with the right arm and with the left leg, where her left arm and right leg are a little bit more of the quick turnover side. And what really stands out to me is how good of a job she does of staying in her drive phase. So we can see her right here. And as they get going, basically everybody else comes upwards way before she does. So you could see at this stage of the race, everyone is more upright, where she is staying in that drive phase just a lot longer. And I think that really makes a big difference when it comes to her ability to get to the top end speed. So you can see she's staying with that drive phase for a long period of time. And a big part of that, we could see, again, very long arms in this position, and just stays very forward when it comes to your start, when it comes to your acceleration, in order to continue to accelerate. And I think the Jamaicans do this probably better than anybody, where they maintain that very forward position with their hands as they're sprinting. So they almost eliminate, as we see her get to her top speed, she starts to kind of eliminate the backside of the arms and really tries to get more on the front side kind of height, with the hands coming straight forward and through. Where a lot of times we'll see, like Kenny Bednarek is an example of someone who just doesn't get very much height at all with his hands as he's coming forward, and could end up losing power there. I mean, everybody's obviously going to be a little bit different, but again, I do think that the Jamaicans do a great job of, when you watch even Sharika Jackson as well. She gets very high with the hands and then pulls straight back and down, and is very quick with that. And we can see with her stride how good she does getting that leg all the way out in front and then pulling back from that position there. And that's why I say I think the left side ends up being her more dominant side, because she ends up, or more force producing side, because she really gets a lot of reach there. And I just think it's amazing, even at this position, how her toe is still pretty vertical there, but then is immediately striking right back down underneath. So she's still landing on the front part of the foot. So then she could toe off very, very quickly. I think that's what really separates Elaine Thompson-Herah, or any of these really high level sprinters, from most people, is being so strong with that foot strike. So we could see with the action of it, right? We know this because of the force production that this is the case, but it's like, how do they do it? Well, they do a great job of being able to maintain that toe up for as long as possible. We can see she's like actively getting her toe up. I don't know if this is like a mental thing, or if this is just something she's doing naturally, but we could see the height there of the foot. And this is where things like being able to do ankle jumps, or just like your big toe range of motion in general, all those things I think end up being very important. And then lands, and then immediately gets right back up onto her big toe, and then is toeing off to make it so then she can come right back through. And we can see, even as she comes up off the ground, that full range of the foot, of the ankle. So the bottom of the foot's facing back straight up into the air. And then we can see also with the right side, very similar thing with the foot all the way up, pulls back, lands. You can still see that she's landing towards the front part of the foot, and the heel is still off the ground, and then is able to transition right to the next one. I go a lot into this here because I think that when we watch her start, we see a lot of the same type of action. So I'll see a lot of people when they're going through their acceleration. What ends up being a big separator is when they get to around this area, we see more of like a downward movement, right? Where that foot ends up going down, where she is, and this is obviously a few steps in now, really good job of getting out with the step, but still being able to land on the front part of the foot. So that's what really separates those high level sprinters is being able to continually push outwards with the foot and also on the front side do the same thing because we could see like she could definitely have stayed here and just gone straight down. And we see a lot of really good sprinters, potentially even great sprinters, do that action. But what makes her Olympic champion one of the best ever is she's getting that additional range here and then able to strike down towards the ground. So first, you want to be able to land like this and be very stable, be very quick off the ground and maybe have a little bit more of a straight downward action to start building it. But the goal is to be able to get out in front with the foot, land on the front part, keep that heel up, and then push right back off and still be able to maintain that high level of quickness as that foot is striking the ground to make it so then you are not wasting time. And I think a big part of that goes into what are we doing with the arms, right? Because when you start to get too wide with the arms, when you start to get too long with the arms, that ends up making a big difference in how long it takes for us to get off the ground. And so the more we can keep a good clean arm action, keep those hands really tight, that's going to make it so then you could be very efficient with what you're doing with the legs and what you're doing with the push off. But just as you're doing that, we want to be able to maintain that good forward lean. And that will allow you to be able to stay in that drive phase for a longer period of time, be able to accelerate for a longer period of time, which will make it so then you'll get to a higher top speed. If you get out of your drive phase too early, like we saw here, what that does is it makes it so now you have a limited amount of top speed. So all these other athletes, and this might be a thing where it's like, okay, we're going against Elaine Thompson-Herah, the fastest ever. We need to be able to really get into our top speed very soon to be able to have a chance. And therefore, I would understand that strategy. But we could see with her, and this could be with experience, is she just stays very patient all the way through. I mean, she gets out in front of everybody anyway, but she stays very patient. So then as she gets into her top speed, now she could really separate from everybody else. And that's what you want to be able to do as an athlete is stay with that drive phase for a longer period of time and understand your acceleration. If you're watching this and you're struggling with maybe that second half of the race, the issue isn't, hey, you need to do more endurance. You are getting too tired. You are, not in good enough shape, whatever. It's that you're not accelerating properly and you're not allowing yourself to get into that high level of acceleration, high level top speed. And when it gets to top speed, this is something that I personally have been really trying to work on. I think it's important to understand that this foot strike is really important in one, being able to get the toe up and be able to pull, but we want to be able to do a combination of two different things. One, we got to get those hips all the way forward the best you can. So as you're getting to your top speed, push those hips all the way up and through to make it so then you can maintain a quick foot strike. And then as that's happening, as you're starting to push those hips up, what's going to end up being a natural action that will follow is that you're going to end up wanting to almost land more towards the back part of the foot. So you have to push your hips forward, push your spine through while also controlling foot strike, keeping your weight more on the front part of the foot. And that ability to be able to do both of those things, keep those hips forward and stay as much towards the front part of your foot as possible, is going to be something that as you continue to develop, as you keep getting the rhythm for it and the timing for it, the faster you're going to be able to go. Again, this is something that I'm constantly working on because I'm trying to run faster. So what I notice with my own sprinting is that I'm landing sometimes better than other times, more back on my foot, and then therefore my hips will be more forward, or when I have my hips more forward, I'll land further back on my foot. And both of those two things end up being a key predictor of how well I'm going to be able to get to my top speed. So the better I could do both those things, then the faster I run. Where if I have a hard time getting my hip all the way through, or if I have a hard time in maintaining my weight forward, then I'm going to end up not running as fast. So hopefully that ends up being something you can understand and work on and be able to improve to make it so your own sprinting will just get that much better. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the information, click that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, please leave those down below. And we'll talk to you soon.